Hello, this is Sam Simon, also known as Dementia Man, recording a blog for the week of August, I think it's going to be August 3rd. Uh, Today actually is July 29th, and I'm recording this blog today. I'm calling it One Little Thing, just one little thing. I'm wondering now if it's because of my age. I just turned 80 years old. It's still a chance to make a donation to Dementia Man in honor of my birthday and also be listed as a donor to a producer, actually. You can be a producer of theater. Just donate to Dementia Man. It's tax deductible if you use the links and follow the instructions in the campaign. But today I'm moved by the obituary and the death of notice and the death of um, somebody who had an important impact in my life. Um, of course, you may know if you read my bio, the one who made a really big difference in my life is Ralph Nader. Yes, that Ralph Nader, that's the line in the play. Ralph is 91. He's still a friend. He records podcasts like me every week. He is still out there. He is a troublemaker extraordinaire, and I'm a troublemaker. But we, what is it? How did it happen that Sam Simon, this little kid from El Paso, Texas, would end up in Washington, D.C. with a career with in the public interest, working with this guy, Ralph Nader, who um, got me my work for him got me almost a full page in the New York Times style section in 1971, an article in the almost a page long article in what was then called the National Observer. Um, and it led to everything else in my life. One little thing. But it happened before that. So Ralph didn't die. I mean, Ralph is fine. But Morton, oh boy, let me get the name right. I'm going to show you Morton Mintz. You saw me scrolling through the obituary in the Washington Post. But you're also seeing that's something that happened in 1966. I didn't go to work for Ralph till 1970. But this laid the groundwork for what would happen later. So look at how handsome Ralph is. That's, I don't know, he's um, in his 30s, maybe then, maybe not quite 30. He wrote this book called Unsafe at Any Speed about the Corvair, got huge notice. It so upset General Motors that they tried to discredit Ralph. And this young reporter by the name of Morton Mintz of the Washington Post got a scoop. I'm reading it now, it came in 1966. And he discovered that General Motors was attempting to surveil and slime Ralph Nader. It was so angry about his book. They set up a surveillance system, people following him, and then they tried to slime him. What did they do? They actually hired a sex worker to follow him and try to solicit him. Um, and it all came out. But look how young he is. And I was younger than that. Wow. And so Mr. Mintz, as they say here, um, wrote the article. And as a result of that, I'm going down here in 1970, there was an out-of-court settlement. General Motors agreed to pay Ralph Nader 400, this says 25,000. I always thought it was 500,000. But a piece of that money went to me. How? Well, Ralph used that money to set up the Public Interest Research Group. Talk about being a troublemaker. Well, he hired, I think there's 13 of us. By the way, there's a book that I edited with essays from those of us who were there then. It's called Choosing the Public Interest, essays from the first Public Interest Group. So you can write that down, Choosing the Public Interest, essays from the Public Interest Group, edited by Sam Simon. Anyway, back to 1965, 67, and then Ralph settled this lawsuit, and he said, I'm going to use this money to set up a public interest law firm. And there, believe it or not, Sam Simon, Peter Petkus, and Jim Welch from the University of Texas School of Law were hired when we graduated law school in 1970 to become part of the Public Interest Research Group. So one little thing. If this didn't happen, if I'm pointing and I'm seeing the picture you're seeing, if Ralph didn't write the book and if he didn't collect this money and if Morton Mintz hadn't discovered it and wrote about it, who knows where I would be today? Who knows what my life would have been? Just one little thing. Just one. So what's that little thing in your life? Part of my view of life is to say yes and take advantage of opportunities that come your way, things that speak to you. There is something about me, it's part of this book, an existential journey. I've been a troublemaker. I've been active in challenging systems. The day from my very first job with that man there, Ralph Nader, thanks to Morton Mintz, blessed memory, who did that play. So I am moved, and I've stopped sharing. I am deeply moved by that history, my history. Ralph is well. He's 91. He does a podcast every week. I encourage you to go on. You can just Google Ralph Nader and you'll see the links to his page. And I don't agree with everything he does right now, but they're always good. They're always provocative. And I'm just so amazed. What little thing in your life? Let's make a list of these. Just one little thing. So God bless Morton Mintz and for all he did that made my life, my professional life, got me to Washington, got me the job with Ralph. That made everything else happen. Really built on that professionally. And indeed, so thank you, Morton, again. And those are my thoughts. A quick blog for this week. And keep in touch with Dementia Man, dementiaman.com. And again, become a producer. My post last week was about producers. We got some great producers. The new producer from last week came on board, and Joanne and Kenny Raskin. I met Kenny Raskin more than a decade ago. Kenny, I love that Kenny did it. He was and still is in part a professional clown, but using improv for clown work. And I remember at a retreat in the summer with the Artistic New Directions, I've mentioned this before in my life, an improv camp, and one of our exercises was not clowning, but it was taught by the clown about taking something in life and just making it fun. So thank you, Kenny Raskin and Joanna Raskin. Please become a producer of Dementia Man, an existential journey, and help me take this play and this work to everyone who needs to see it. Thank you so much.